Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Spirit and Soul podcast. I'm here with Keith today, and we have a really exciting topic. We're going to be talking about universal mental health care in Nova Scotia, and I'm going to let Keith introduce himself and introduce the topic.
Okay, thank you, Amber. Yeah, I'm Keith. Okay, and welcome everybody, and hopefully we'll be able to have a good discussion. Okay, here today, Amber and I, we kind of get together beforehand and have a quick chat about the topic. Okay, we want to kind of have a little plan in our heads as our discussion. So let's kind of go here now. Okay.
Yeah, because it's a very exciting topic.
It is indeed. Okay, and we both live in Nova Scotia. Okay. And recently, I think about 2 weeks ago, the Nova Scotia government here, the provincial government, okay, announced universal health care, okay, meaning people would have access to counselors, therapists, psychologists, okay, and the session would be covered by the government, okay, so in essence, it would be free for people to attend. Some problems exist, though, of course, okay, and
some concerns, some thoughts.
Yes, and the minister in charge, okay, he mentioned that by the spring, okay, we'll have more details. Okay, so we look forward to that for sure. Okay, so we don't want to, criticize what they do, okay, because we don't know what they're going to be doing exactly. Okay, we'll have a few comments, okay, on what we think is needed, perhaps. Okay, and as well, what some problems may be present, may be existing. Okay, that government, I would suggest, has to address somehow. Okay.
Yeah. Has to consider at least.
Exactly. And the main one for me, okay, and this is, it kind of goes with the issues with family doctors, okay, is the wait list. My understanding from what I read, okay, and there's 13,000 people on a wait list to see a counselor or therapist, okay. I did not know there was even a wait list involved, okay, until I read it.
I don't even know how to access it.
Yeah, I have no clue, okay, and, but it is, how to access it, no idea at all, okay. So, hence the problem is, okay, where will they find the therapists, counselors, and psychologists?
For 13,000 people? Exactly. When a lot of the times, like the counselors I know are booked up.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah, my friends here in Cape Breton, where I live, okay, yeah, they're booked. They've been booked for years. They have no problem with getting clients, okay? There's one who does the military, for example. People who have retired and returned to Cape Breton, for example. Okay, and she's on the list, and her practice is pretty much military, so she's booked up. She's full up.
So if you're starting in spring, and you have 13,000 people on a wait list, just a little bit of a concern about where exactly are you finding these people?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and so I wonder, okay, how they'll address that. We also wonder, okay, how will these therapists, let's be practical, how will these therapists, counselors get paid? Okay, is the going rate now, which I think is around $200 an hour? Okay,
roughly like 160 to 220.
Okay, yeah, you know better than I. Okay, yeah, you tell them why you know better than I do, Amber. Okay,
yes, that helps. Because this really impacts me because I'm in my master's in counseling psychology degree, and I have finished all of my coursework, and so very soon I'll be doing my practicum in the spring, and by the end of the year I should be a fully licensed counselor, which means that if we have 13,000 people on a wait list who are looking for a counselor, I could be a part of that solution or part of that project.
Exactly.
Which it's a little concerning that, for example, like you said earlier, I don't know how to access the wait list. I don't know I didn't know about the program until Keith had told me about it. So the question is just like, what kind of information are these counselors receiving, or are they prepared for? Because I don't know anything about it at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the minister in charge of the program, okay, he does great work. His office, they do phenomenal work. Okay, I'll give them full credit for what they've done. This is in terms of politics, okay, the government here was just formed, re-elected in October, November, I believe it was. Okay, they've got 44 seats, huge majority. Okay, the same minister was appointed, who served last term, this term now as well. Okay, great guy. Okay, concerned, passionate about mental health for sure. Okay, I've had occasion to meet with them. Okay, and they do good work. Okay, so we're not being critical of what they do. We're just sort of raising some concerns that we have, well, given our
Yeah, because
experience.
this is a very needed service. It's
Exactly.
something that I've hoped to see because as somebody who had mental, like I've struggled with my mental health in Nova Scotia,
Yeah.
and I had a counselor that I was seeing all through university because that was offered through the healthcare there. But as soon as I graduated, I lost that healthcare,
Yeah.
and I've not been able to access a counselor now. And
Yeah.
without the school's help, I wouldn't have been able to access one then. And
Yeah.
so that's something that I really benefited from and really needed. But if you are low income or struggling with other intersectionalities like disability and that, it makes it really difficult to get a counselor in Nova Scotia. So I think this is a really lovely program that I hope they'll expand across the country. Just like wondering how it's going to
Yeah.
function.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, phenomenal idea. Great
Yeah,
that they implemented it so quickly in this term. Okay, and I can really see some great work being done.
I
Okay.
agree.
Um, Another thing that Amber and I had mentioned earlier. Okay, before we came online here. I think you may have just mentioned it a little bit there, well, in terms of access.
Yeah.
Okay, like who makes the decision as to treatment,
Mm-hmm.
government or the counselor, therapist? Okay, like I went to therapy once a week for 2 years.
I did 4 years.
Yeah, I was fortunate; I could afford to pay for that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like well, would government cover 2 years weekly? I
Yeah,
don't
because
know. Okay, yeah,
the
yeah,
standard usually with when it comes to like government programs and social organizations,
sure.
the usual program that they do is some like a CBT based program. And a
Okay.
CBT based program is very focused on things like homework that you're assigned and you go home and do and come back with. It's
Yeah,
very focused on what can we do right now to deal
sure.
with what you're going through. It's
Yeah,
less talk therapy like people kind of
yeah,
expect to see in therapy.
yeah,
And it's usually a 12-week program.
yeah. Okay.
And like we have both 2 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
12 weeks is not a lot of time.
No.
And with a wait list as long as they have and the amount of counselors that they
Yeah.
need to bring on in order to do this project, I wonder if that's going to be the focus is CBT
Yeah.
because there's problems with that,
Yeah.
obviously. There's going to be
Yeah.
people on the wait list who have larger issues than that and who have
Yeah.
things that they need more time to deal with or come around to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to keep funding them after 12 weeks? Are
Yeah.
they going to have to stop seeing this counselor that they've developed a rapport with over 12 weeks and a
Yeah.
trust
Yeah.
and go to somebody else? Because that's rehashing a lot of trauma too, to
Yeah.
have to go and tell your story again.
Yes. Yeah. And you want to feel safe and comfortable with your therapist. Okay, which I did. My psychologist, I did very, I fit in very well. We got along wonderfully. I mean, there was this rapport we had, and that I trusted her.
Yeah,
Okay, and I was then able to listen, to talk, to get better, and to think of things in my life and more, and get my head together, basically. Okay, one hope I always have with any kind of government program or any kind of program anywhere. Okay, is who makes the decisions involved.
yeah,
Okay, and I always push for people with lived experience and knowledge.
I agree.
People who have been there, right? I've been there. You've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we know the darkness. We know the challenges. Okay, I hope there are people involved who bring that to the discussion. Okay.
Level of consulting, I think,
Yeah.
is needed when you're
Yeah.
providing a service also that people maybe haven't had access to before at all and
Yeah.
have no experience with.
Yeah.
Like, you need people who can like ease the way for that.
Yeah. And we bring that. We offer that.
Yeah,
Okay. In what we do with our Firm Spirit and Soul Wellness Center. Okay. We offer programs like that.
we
Okay.
do. Yeah,
And consulting and such. Okay. And we bring our wealth of knowledge, lived experience. Okay. From years. Okay. I've been involved in mental health since 2008, for example. Amber is like I said, more qualified than me in many regards, given her education, right? Okay, but we bring a wealth of knowledge, experience to the discussion, and other people do as well. And I hope somebody is actively involved in making these choices and decisions. Okay,
I
in
agree.
this program and any other, you know.
I worked on the front lines as well with a lot
Yeah,
of organizations where I'm working one on one with folks who are facing these intersectional barriers
yeah,
and need these services and would benefit from these programs,
yeah,
but they also would be very intimidated and overwhelmed by these programs.
definitely.
And
definitely.
I don't know how to access the program. So
Yeah,
have the fact that there's a wait list that I don't know how to access concerns me because there are many
yeah,
folks who have less experience
yeah,
than I do in the field who might benefit from the service and be overwhelmed by trying to access it.
yeah,
And like you said, who's making the decisions? Because when it comes to mental health, like you're going to have a variety of ways that it presents. And there's going to be a variety of different modalities of therapy that people might benefit from.
yeah,
Again, are you only doing CBT or are you including other
yeah,
forms of counseling, other forms of
yeah,
therapy, other forms of ways of treatment or length of treatment? Like, how is all of that going to
yeah,
function in the day to day reality of what it's like to live with mental health and its like changing nature,
yeah,
you know? Especially as you get to folks who need it on a universal mental health care, they likely are and have been facing all of these intersectional oppressions. That's why they need this
yeah,
universal free health care, because they haven't been able to access it before. So you're going to encounter a lot of complex, nuanced things that people need to be treated for and need support in. And are you prepared
hmm,
for what is coming from that,
yeah,
what that is going to need?
yeah,
And it's not a criticism of the program itself, because I think that is something that's been needed for a very long time,
definitely. Yeah,
but it's just, are you prepared for the actual nature of what we're about to in the spring,
yeah,
embark on? That's
yeah,
so soon.
exactly. Yeah, no, no, you're right on. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I give full marks to government, okay, and the minister and his department staff, okay, for
Mm-hmm.
starting this program. No question, it's phenomenal,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and I think it will help a lot of people for
I
sure.
agree.
It's just getting there, okay, the steps that are needed, okay, are that's our concerns, okay.
Challenges that like I
Yeah,
only present in the hopes that
yeah,
they'll realize that those are the lived
yeah,
experience, that that's
yeah,
what's necessary,
yeah,
and then take steps to try and mediate or like take those things into
yeah,
consideration.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And like you said, it impacts you on a personal level as your
Yeah,
career.
it does.
I mean,
Because also, like, if
yeah,
as a counselor, if it's a
yeah,
CBT based program, for
yeah,
instance,
uh-huh, yeah,
if it's very structured,
yeah,
I am not that kind of counselor. And if you're trying to incentivize counselors as well to come here and have
yeah,
their practice,
yeah,
many counselors like to work on a private scale because then they can control
yeah,
how often they see their clients, what kinds of
yeah,
therapies they're using, what kind, like,
yeah,
a lot of being a counselor is very independent.
yeah, yeah,
But if this is a government program that's very structured and very limiting
yeah,
on what the counselors can do and actually
yeah,
how they can interact with their clients, it's going to
okay,
limit their
yeah,
ability as a counselor.
yeah,
And it's also going to limit whether or not they want to be a part of that program,
yeah, for
because they
sure.
might prefer to come as private counselors doing their own. And then you have the question of what is the oversight for that?
Yeah,
There, if you're using private counselors
yeah,
using their own
yeah,
methods and ways of doing things,
yeah,
what's the oversight for that?
yeah,
Like, it's just so many questions that are arising, because I myself wouldn't like to do a CBT based
yeah, yeah,
form of a program. That's not, it wouldn't
mm,
incentivize me. So I
yeah,
wonder how they're incentivizing other counselors to be
yeah,
involved with that.
exactly. And they're hoping to have 50 counselors, therapists to start with,
Yeah.
and then in time, I think in 2 years to bring in 200 more.
Yeah.
Okay, which is amazing, wonderful.
Fantastic.
From where though?
Yeah.
Right, the same with doctors and nurses. The same problem I would suggest. Okay, in Cape Breton, where I lived, as I mentioned, they're building 3 new hospitals basically. Okay,
Yes.
healthcare centers. Um, Beautiful. They'll be pretty. They'll be new. They'll be all that wonderful stuff, right? But where does the staff come from?
Mm-hmm. The hospitals that we already have are
Yeah,
already overworked and understaffed, and
yeah, yeah,
often the wait rooms are so long.
yeah,
And so, like, you might be creating new hospitals, but is it the same hospitals that have the
yeah,
same problems?
yeah, yeah,
That's like, that's not going to work. You're just
yeah,
creating,
yeah,
especially if you can't incentivize them to come here in the first place, like
yeah.
you're saying.
That and then the university here, Cape Breton University, they're building a med school,
Mm-hmm.
which they say will be open in the fall of this year. Okay,
Very soon.
which is wonderful. Again,
Yeah.
right, amazing. Okay, and they're going to try to have doctors stay local. Okay, stay rural in Nova Scotia. And
Very needed.
Yeah, but it's 4 years and then years to specialize. Yeah, I mean, it's long term, which is wonderful. You have to do think long term. I love that idea. Okay.
Yes.
But what about like today? Are there answers today? I don't know, honestly.
You can't just keep doing the same thing, but
Yeah.
make it bigger. Because now
Yeah.
you just have like the same problem, but bigger.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
You need to be looking at like what are the problems with the existing
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
and then adjusting it for your new system.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
this is, and it's an opportunity too. You have three
Yeah.
new hospitals opening up. That's an
Yeah.
opportunity for three different ways of like
Yeah.
trying things to see if
Exactly.
we can better support people.
Yeah. No, it's phenomenal. I mean, they're taking some wonderful steps, no question, right?
Yeah.
But we just have concerns, okay, with some of the, you know, how do they navigate it? Really?
Because sometimes you need the lived experience for that day to day.
Yeah.
If you don't have that,
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
kind of fall short on.
Yeah.
It's just something you don't think about if you've never lived with it.
Exactly. So, Mr. Minister, if you're listening and watching, okay, and I know you well. I believe I would suggest, okay, Amber and I are happy to help out. Okay, so you've got my phone number. Okay, you've got my information. So please let us know if you're listening. Okay, who knows?
Happy to chat.
Happy to chat. Happy to help out. Happy to consult on something. Okay, happy to get involved. So hey, you know.
Because it is a good program, and I do want to see more of
Yeah.
it, and I want to see it run
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Because
And it's so personal to you, right, Amber? I mean, this is your
so
career.
personal.
I mean,
This could impact my career, could impact the careers of the folks
yeah,
around me. This could actually change like the mental health landscape
definitely.
entirely.
Oh, wonderfully. Well, in such positive ways, right? Phenomenal.
Yeah.
What can
Even
happen?
if it, and
Yeah.
I also wonder, free mental health care, um, like the pay is considerable. Like
Yeah.
what does that look like
Sure.
for a counselor?
Exactly.
Because like you
Exactly.
were saying, the rates are 160 to 220.
Sure. Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
is like just more, I'm really curious to, I
Yeah.
can't wait for them to release more details about how it's
Yeah.
actually going to
Exactly.
function.
Exactly. Yeah. And when they do, we'll come back with the podcast at that time. Okay, and discuss all the
Yeah.
great stuff and some of their concerns. So hey. So so yeah, so Amber, what do you think? Wrap up?
I think that, yeah, wrap up, but I don't
Okay.
know. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the
Oh yeah,
news.
me too. Me too. Yeah,
And it's the first in the country, isn't it?
yeah,
The other
exactly.
provinces haven't done
It is.
that.
It is, I believe, yes, yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is a really great opportunity
Yeah.
for the other provinces to
Oh
also
yeah,
look in and see, like,
definitely.
hey, how is
Yeah.
this functioning? And
Yeah.
if it's not, if there are problems,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe they could use them when they incorporate universal mental health care in New Brunswick
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
Newfoundland or.
Exactly. Yeah. So
So a good learning opportunity for everybody. And I think everybody should pay attention to
yeah, for sure.
what comes out of this program.
Yeah, I agree. So there, those are our thoughts, our
Yeah.
concerns, our questions. Okay, and yeah. So thanks for listening, watching, everybody out there. Okay, and we'll be back next week. Okay, at
Yes.
some point. Okay, so
Yes, we
thanks.
will. Thank
Take
you,
care. Be well.
everybody.
Okay.
Be well.
Thanks, Amber.
Okay.